You just mentioned it.
Yeah, there's actual names in the chain.
That does not prove anything, just putting names not in the chain.
Yeah, that's the no, that's my in for example, the ethics of the Bible, the Jewish writing that talks about the transmission of the Hebrew Bible. These are names. I'm asking how you said Jewish tradition. You accept it.
Yeah.
How do you verify it?
We were talking about. I understand. You're going to go back to Jewish tradition.
How you verify it?
We were talking about your chain of relation.
Yeah.
I want to know like what are the criteria?
Two main criteria. I want to see if you agree with them. Trustworthy in the person. I didn't know. No. You said Jewish tradition. What Jewish tradition?
As in like the life of the Jews prior to Christ.
Yeah.
Them living.
How does that? How does that take it? Look. We're talking about.
You're asking me how do I prove the verification of the Torah prior to Christ?
Yeah.
Now I'm telling you, I am verifying historical findings with people that exegete the text, i.e. people that don't even believe in it, or historical findings of people that evidence happening where it was described, it was claimed in the Bible, and then we find the evidence in the location, i.e.
Like
the tunnel of archaeological findings. Okay, but how did you get theology from that though? We're talking about the words. The theology makes we're not talking about theology right now. You're jumping. We're not talking about theology.
It's not jumping.
We're talking about preservation.
Don't say I'm jumping.
Okay, I apologize.
No, it's not about that.
I apologize.
We're not talking about theology. We are. Because you mentioned
about preservation.
You mentioned to him that if it's this word or that word, it's not relevant.
That was the position he brought.
Hear my point. Hear my point.
That's not my position.
Hear my point. Why didn't you want to hear my point?
That's not but you're straw manning my position.
I'm not sure. Hear my point.
That's his position.
Hear my point. Hear my point.
That's a good point, though.
I'm going off your words.
It is. It's a different point.
I'm critiquing your words, not his. I'm just saying, to him earlier, he mentioned the different sons of Noah, okay? The different wordings. Now you said the wording may be different, but in overall it doesn't affect the meaning. Yeah. Now in terms of Noah having a son, I agree. But what I said to you after that, if you remember, that we get our theology from the text. If you don't know the text, right, how are you going to derive your theology? Right. If there's a mistake in your text,
what would you consider as a mistake?
So for example, with this thing now, Noah had one son.
No, he had three.
So this one son, the name is Japheth. Japheth and
Sam, Sham. But I was talking about Japheth's sons. Actually.
Okay, Japheth's sons, yeah. And
one of his sons is called Rifat. And some other passage of the Bible said Difat. Because in Hebrew the R and the D look alike.
He's claiming that it makes a theological change.
Because they didn't speak the language actually.
My point is, do you agree that in order for us to know the theology that comes from the text, we have to have the text preserved?
We have to have the meanings of the text. Because even like the text ascribes to Pontius, not Pontius Pilate, to like someone like Galileo or any of the great philosophers in the past. None is coming to mind right now. They didn't write it themselves, and plus by preserving their text and writing it, even prior to like the printing era, it's going to be scribes writing it down. But sometimes the scribes are going to make mistakes. Yeah. So we hold historically and archaeologically, we hold on to meanings of what is being preserved.
The overall meaning, not
just the text. Okay. He's addressing the text issue, and I said it's a scribal error that doesn't change the meaning.
No.
So he's saying it changes the whole meaning of the theology.
When it comes to when it comes to the text, scribal error, changing a letter by accident, is just one aspect. Okay. We also have interpolation. A scribe can interpolate. Okay, a scribe can remove something. What's the word? Addition, omission, and alteration. A scribe can reword something that he thinks is fine, but it actually changes the meaning. In fact, just to mention from our point of view as a Muslim, the person who narrates by from the meaning, and the one who narrates word for word, the one who narrates from meaning, if he doesn't know how the words change the meaning, then this is a weakness in his part. And the scholars of hadith, they pick that up. Okay, so what I'm saying to you now is, how have you translated from the Dead Sea Scrolls or from Jesus' time back to Moses? Now, I just want you to demonstrate that. You said the Jewish tradition. Now, the Jewish tradition, where you find that, is in works that come after Jesus, after the temple. Okay, and if you're going for the manuscript evidence of those things, they come after Islam. Don't say Dead Sea Scrolls, because I'm talking, how do you fill the gap from the Dead Sea Scrolls prior to the Jews? Prior to the historical findings. So you're telling me that a theological statement that has a huge meaning in the Old Testament, for example, God rested on the seventh day, or God was reminded by the rainbow. These have theological implications. Yeah? You're saying that this is, we can accept this because it's in the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Dead Sea Scrolls talks about the Exodus, and we can find some Jewish history in Egypt prior in that time. So you're saying because there were Jews in Egypt at that time that may have left, you're saying because of that, the statement that God rested on the seventh day is true?
No, you're making that's a false equivocation.
No, I'm asking you. How do you demonstrate?
You're asking two different questions.
Yeah.
There is historical claim and there is theological claim in every book.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if I was to turn it around to you, then you would have to demonstrate at what point of time the angels bowed down to Muhammad and Shaitan didn't. So there is, in any theological book, there is historical claim.
How do you establish the word? You're talking about let me go on land.
There is historical.
Yeah.
I'm coming on the parachute. I'm landing. But there is historical claims in any theological book, and there is theological claims. Theological claims are going to be more metaphysical.
Undemonstratable historically. Yes, I agree with that.
So, but theological claims, you're equating the both. Like when God rested on the Sabbath day, and the historical account of the Egyptians. You can't correlate the two. Those are two different points. Straw man.
That's fine. You misunderstood me. The wording, God rested on the seventh day. I'm not asking did he rest or did he not rest. The wording of it. You get that from a book.
Yeah.
And you're saying that that book is correct because that book also says that there were Egyptians that left, there were Jews that left Egypt. Is that what you're saying? Because
I fall on my faith.
So that's the faith.
Yeah, but the historical claims that the book makes, I can choose to look at the evidence and see if it's true or not.
So in terms,
it's only theological books, right?
You're missing the point. You're missing the point. We're not. In order for us to make the theological in paradise as Muslims, we believe in that we will eat rumman, we will eat pomegranate, a type of fruit. Pomegranate, we will eat that in paradise, and we will drink a type of wine. Yes, and we will eat the liver of we eat liver as one of the first meals we eat to Jannah. How do I know this? It's only because that I can establish it going back to the Prophet Muhammad, who I have faith in. Okay, so in order to make the theological belief, I have to have the text. So I'm not talking about the theological position, did God rest on the seventh day or not? I have a problem with that, obviously, as a Muslim, but that's not the point. The point is the text that says God rested on the seventh day. How do you establish that from Moses? Put it this way. Whatever Moses says, whatever Jesus says, for me that's a green tick. I accept. You're saying Moses said this, how do you establish that? That's all I want from you. So you said
a chain of, not just a chain of narration, I'm not doing a direct chain of narration, I'm doing a chain of narration of a grouping, like the children of Israel. They have lived there for 3,000 years, and we understand where the change comes in. We understand where the theology changes, and we know all of the texts. We have all of the texts that they have prior to. Yes, we don't have all the way back. There's a 1,000-year gap. Let me finish.
Yeah.
Yes, we don't have all the way back to Moses, but they did at the time.
How do you know that?
Because we have the Dead Sea Scrolls to prove that they did have it.
The Dead Sea Scrolls comes 200 years.
Listen to my position again. No. Let me. Because
I'm asking to my position. How do you feel that gap? That 1,000-year gap. How do you feel it?
Let me listen to my position. I said.
Your question is this.
Your question is. How do I feel the gap from the Dead Sea Scrolls all the way to Moses?
1,200-year gap. How do you feel it?
I am saying there is a group of people that lived this life, called the children of Israel. They lived this life and preserved it. Thankfully, we have the Dead Sea Scrolls prior to the Enlightenment era. I'm talking about Jesus' first 18, Jesus' time. We have texts prior to Jesus where everything was then fully testified for like historical evidence. So we have the text there that proves that these people that are called children of Israel live this tradition. And I am happy enough to go with them on that. And then when Jesus came, any historical findings that we want to prove from them, we can prove it.
But did you not hear my point?
I just answered your point. I don't think you want to hear it.
No. I'm quite clear what I'm saying. You said I believe that it's been fulfilled because
my faith.
That's fine. That's fine. So don't talk about Jewish tradition. Don't talk about manuscript evidence.
I'm using historical evidence.
There's no historical evidence.
You're disregarding every historical evidence.
No. Not every.
You disregarded every historical evidence.
That, and that's wrong.
Yes, you did. I showed you a group of people that lived for 1,500 years before Moses and Moses' time to Jesus' time to this present day. And we know what they had prior to Jesus, where everything was then fully tracked as a historical account. We know what they had in the Dead Sea Scrolls. So it proves that the people that were living there for 1,300 years had a tradition with a book prior to Christ. And I see that's evidence enough, like historical evidence enough for me to rely on it by faith.
So you believe that's fine. You believe it's historical evidence enough that in the time, in 200 years time before Jesus, which was 2,000 years ago, 2,200 years ago, there was a book, there was a manuscript tradition by the Essenes, who were a heretical sect according to some. Well, they were an obscure sect. Let's say, hear my point. There was an obscure sect 200 years before Jesus. Hang on, that's fine. How would you like to relate to them?
They're not heretical sect.
Fine, they're not heretical. They are
just a different tribe.
A different tribe. That's it.
So
you said I was a nice guy. You're not being nice. That's my brother there. The initial thing was.
I know, but he's going to take the conversation to someone else, and I wouldn't want to do two people from.
Fair enough.
So God can still use people that are flawed to preserve His text, even if they're bad people. If a pope, like let's say the current pope, I think he's a heretic and he's
not Catholic.
I'm not Catholic, but I still believe Catholicism is a church worthy of the Lord. So if the Roman Church has kept the tradition of the church since then, but the popes have been wrong and doing wrong things, I can say yes, they are holy in terms of like God preserving His text the way that He sees fit, but the people are wrong. I don't follow the people, I follow God.
But there should
so I don't follow the Essenes. In regards to the Essenes, I don't follow the Essenes. I am not an Essene. I'm not a Jew at that time. I don't follow them. I follow God. And God can use them. Surely, like you count as heretical.
No, that's not me saying it. This is those prophets in your book saying it. My point is
nowhere that says the Essenes are heretical.
No. Okay, Essenes, no. I take it back. I mean,
those people
these are
could have been bad people. I think they were nice people, but they could have been bad people. Even so, they still preserved the word of God. This is what
how do you know they preserved it though?
At that point, I'm relying on faith.
So in faith in them? Sorry.
Faith in them, faith in God. Faith in them.
No. But then I can say that the message of the prophets, where's the distinction? Where's the distinction?
You can do that. You can say the message of the prophet, you're relying on faith.
When Isa came, when Jesus came, and the prophets came, they spoke with, hang on, they spoke with al-bayyinat, clear and ambiguous truth. It's not just blind faith. It's not just blind faith. Why? Because, for example, look at what we have now from our Islamic tradition. Going back to everything that we said in the beginning. Hang on. What we want for a text is that it comes from trustworthy and precise.
Are you saying controlled preservation? I want to know that position.
Listen, this controlled preservation, there's a lot of baggage from your point of view.
We don't have controlled preservation.
You don't. I know you don't. From a Jewish point of view, the thing is, you do with the Old Testament. You claim you do with the Old Testament.
We don't have controlled preservation even in the Old Testament. It was already translated. The Septuagint, I believe, was the old Greek rendition, like a Greek writing. So we already have like different sections writing different Torahs at a time. There are things that they are own, which is why I can actually use that as evidence. There are things they were writing it. The reason why they wrote it, to why we found the Dead Sea Scroll, is because they knew that they were going to be at a time of war at some point, and they weren't going to. They had to flee. They had to come back. So it wasn't controlled to one person's writing. They wrote it themselves.
This community,
the Old Testament doesn't have control.
This community, the Essenes in Qumran, this area, what does their belief say about the Judaism of Moses 1,200 years? No. What does their belief, their traditions in preservation?
Yes.
What were their traditions in preservation? If we're not aware of them, then it's just
of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
And that's it. And that was enough for you to say whatever they say, whatever they've handed down, therefore that must have come back 1,200 years.
We just found like less than 100 years ago. For an account of me believing in what they say, it's pretty less. It's pretty less than what you're claiming. I'm not saying we've had their source from then, from our church tradition. I believe it from them. I am saying what they wrote proves what I have.
No, it proves
it's evidence. It's an archaeological finding.
It proves. It's an archaeological. It does prove. Now, fully give you this. It does prove that the text that you have now
is the same.
Not word for word. No, it's not saying word for word. No. That generally it goes back. The text that you have now can be taken back to 200 years before Jesus.
Let me know.
No. The text that you have now can be traced back in general back to 200 years prior to Jesus.
And you say that for the camera.
What do you mean? I'm very vocal. That's not a problem.
The text that we have now can go back to Jesus back 2,000.
Old Testament. We're talking about Old Testament.
Yes. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
That's well, any Muslim that denies that, I would doubt his experience.
It's very hard.
No. Come on, we have to have truthful conversations. Okay. But the point is now, I want you to look in the camera and say 1,200 years prior to the Dead Sea Scroll, we don't have it.
We don't have much text from prior to the Dead Sea Scroll.
That's
every part of history. The most accessible preserved historical account is the Old Testament, because everything from then have been destroyed, burnt, or either on rocks somewhere. That's how we're finding it. So the Old Testament is the most accessible narration of history prior to Jesus, prior to first AD that we can find.
But we're talking about taking it back to Moses.
Yes. But you know what I'm saying? Are you hearing what I'm saying? I'm saying if it is the most, that means it's the most qualified in terms of like searching through history. So, even prior to Moses, anything that we know prior to Moses, we always go back to every historian, every archaeologist. They always go back to the Bible.
So you believe
to find any archaeological findings.
You believe now that archaeologically you can demonstrate that there were 3 million Jews that did the Exodus from.
That's a false equivocation to start.
No.
Archaeology.
You're saying.
The reason why I say it's a false equivocation because they're looking for a specific. You're looking for a specific scenario. Archaeology doesn't work like that. Archaeology works in findings. We don't have every detail of Tutankhamun's life, but we have certain findings to know that these are assumptions of what he how he could have lived his life. So that's how archaeological finding works. It doesn't say verbatim.
But you believe there were 3 million Jews in Egypt. Yeah. Based upon the Bible. Okay. But in terms of the archaeological evidence, is that there?
Yes.
No, I never said that.
You're looking for 3 million.
That number.
That's not how archaeology works.
No. I'm asking you.
Is there evidence of Jews in Egypt at that time? That's where I start. Halas at that point.
What do you mean? That's where I start. Your belief of the 3 million comes from the Bible.
That's the claim. But there is evidence of Jews in Egypt at that time. That was enough for me to know that.
Does that mean that it is 3 million?
I don't care if it's 3 million or not. That was enough for me to know that Jews were in Egypt. That's all I need to know. I didn't even know when it was 3 million.
When they calculate the number of men, the number of children, the number of women.
So the 3 million does not matter. The fact that matters is Jews in Egypt.
But
that's an historical finding.
To you it does, because you believe in that.
What does the 3 million have to do with my salvation? I just have to accept that Jews were in Egypt at a specific time. I don't have to look at a specific number. You're looking for a specific number.
I'll tell you why. Because the 3 million only comes from the scripture. It doesn't come from archaeological evidence.
Yes, scripture is
so my point is this, it verifies if a man says now that he writes down that Queen Elizabeth died recently and King Charles is the new king and in England they did this, therefore, what's your name? Anyway, that my man is a thief. Does that follow? Because I got an evidence. How do you preserve it from omission, addition, or alteration? How do you preserve it from the Dead Sea Scrolls 200 BC?
Context, like the context, the scenario that you just gave about the king and the queen. That is context enough to know what for me to know who you're addressing. And if they're randomly addressing this other person, you said a liar or what did you say?
Well, they said that so a historian is writing in this day and age for generations later, and he's saying that you're a liar.
Yeah. So
because you got the king right
let's look at the context. Let's look at the context.
Yeah.
The context is the historian is writing about the kings and the queens. He's then randomly writing about someone that is relevant to the story. His context does not matter. I mean, his context, that context flows at that point. You can still take the account of the historical account that he said, but I would say if you're finding it like 1,000 years ago, that is a double error. Either I did it or something totally different like it doesn't make the story. It's a false publication.
No, because in the publication you have in the Bible where it mentions names of kings, it mentions the Hebrew, it mentions the wars, and it goes to something specific. So that's the false publication that you have in the Bible. For example, you've got Abraham going to Egypt, and this is the Pharaoh at the time. You've got the people in the time of Abraham. Fair enough. But then it goes on to say that his first son was Ishmael, or the son that he sacrificed was Isaac. Okay? How do you get the detail? You can't just get the detail, oh yeah, there was a Pharaoh in that time, therefore the name of his son that he sacrificed was Isaac.
Again, like I said, certain things that are led by faith and certain things are historical.
But your faith is in those Jews.
No, that's not what I said. My faith is in God.
You say you faith is Jews. That's a nice claim. It sounds nice, but in reality,
no, you're straw manning what I'm saying.
No. I'm just basically
verifying my faith.
How do you verify?
My faith is not in the Jews. The Jews verify my faith.
Comes by these Jews.
If that's how you want to take it, then
where else does it come from? Where can I get your scripture from? How do you take it? No, and that Bible is what? What version?
Any version.
Okay, and does it take into consideration Dead Sea Scrolls?
Yes.
Okay, so that Bible, how do you take it?
Why are you so racist? Why are you so racist? Such a loser. Such a loser.
Don't listen to this guy. He got the problem.
Every week he calls me Rasta and some black.
He's a racist guy. Don't listen to him. He's been doing this for years. I've seen you attack black people here, calling them niggas, calling them abuse, calling them slaves. No, you're just disgusting.
I never use that word. I said
you have, you liar.
Right, not me, your friend.
You're a liar. Don't talk to me. You're disgusting.
You're racist yourself.
I'm racist. Okay, well, please go away.
You're not Rasta, you're not him.
In terms of demonstrating,
You're a violent. You're a violent.
Shut up, man. You're just pissed
that's
off.
where the problem started. And Jewish tradition. Now my point is that when you
I only speak to humans.
there isn't really a Jewish tradition and tradition.
I'm not Christian.
The guy's coming. The guy's angry.
According to like where we can just say like that's my position, man. The historical account is in favor of my side, where people that live that life, they made a historical account. They are historical people, right? They verify my faith.
The actual historical position.
Now let's talk about
the actual historical position is that is that in the time of Ezra there was a reduction that happened in these texts.
I know, but that's not what we're talking about.
You made the claim. You made the claim that this is the historical position. Go to the historians. They won't tell you what you're saying. They'll say that in the time of Ezra there was a reduction. There was actually in the Bible it mentions that the whole Torah was lost. In the Jewish tradition you quote, it mentions that the whole Torah was lost and it was found in a box.
I beg to differ. That says that it's politics. Let's make it fair now. Let's talk about.
So what I said My point was that our belief in heaven or hell, our belief in our salvation must come from trustworthy and precise sources. We have to be able to verify their precision and their trustworthiness. It is the basis for any narration in Islam in when it comes to the statements and the actions and the approvals. The bare minimum that we will accept is that it comes from trustworthy and reliable sources and precise sources. Now,
let's examine the
David, don't listen to this guy. He's a moderator. How would you man? Who you worship? Who you worship? Fuck off. No, he believes in God. Bread and butter. You're guiding me not now. Bread and butter you worship. Bread and butter. What is it? Bread and butter.
What we have
he's
say there are 10 people here now.
Yeah, that example. I know what you're going to say.
You are.
I love it, sir.
So you're the teacher for me, yeah? And you've got 10 students. Now, 10 of these students say that you said A, B, C. Sorry, 9 of these students said that you said A, B, C. One of them said you said X, Y, Z. All of them, in terms of their statements, they're kind of on equal footing.
Where am I in this position?
You're the teacher. You're the teacher. No. We want to understand what you said. Okay. Now later on, we're taking the statement of these 10 people. 9 of them, all of them are on equal footing. Okay. 9 of them are saying you said A, B, C. 1 of them is saying you said X, Y, Z. So this one has opposed the majority, or he's opposed other eyewitnesses that were there. Therefore, we can say that it's more probable that these 9, they're all on the same footing, that these 9 were correct, and this one has either a weakness in memory, or he's lying, or we can further investigate that.
In terms of like the oral tradition.
That's an oral tradition, or it can be a written tradition as well. Now, we can see that in order to understand what you really said, we can do that for your students. So now we've gone one level up. Now we want to understand that you now have a teacher, and that teacher has 9 other students apart from you. Now that means you're the 10th. So then I would check your statement against those other 9. Once I've seen that you agree and you all agree, I can say now that those 9 are correct, you 10 are correct, so now I know what your teacher said.
Okay, my question still stands, where you answered a point really well, but I don't think that's the point that I was asking. Let's say the same scenario, the teacher gives it to, an objective to 10 people. 9 of them wrote it down correctly, and let's keep it to what it is, oral. 9 of them translated it correctly. 1 of them did it. Yeah. If the teacher is not in the room to verify what the 9 say, how can we verify what the 9 say?
So those 9,
they could be playing into conspiracy as well.
No.
But appealing to majority could also be appealing to conspiracy.
Okay.
So how can we verify what the 9 say?
So what you say that you speaking to those people in that sitting is a historical event. Okay. Now what?
Well, you gotta take a level.
So you speaking to those people, regardless of what you said is true, or the meeting actually took place.
The meeting of asking what they said.
The meeting of those 10 and you, that actually took place. Now, in order to understand the events of that, we want to analyze each person. And basically, the chain is only as strong as its weakest link. So each thing has to be meticulously investigated. Each statement, each person.
That's the point.
I'll give you an example. Yeah,
how can me in the 21st century verify what Sahih Bukhari's student and the Sahih Bukhari's student said before Sahih Bukhari wrote it?
But before him.
I mean, teacher and teacher said before Sahih Bukhari. How can I verify it in the 21st century?
So what we have now, which is different to other chains of transmission. The chains of the process of transmission in Islam, at every generation you had people that would critique and check. It's not a dead process whereby we critique and check now. We have people in the time of Bukhari. Bukhari himself used to critique and check narrators. Now, we have in every generation the works of those people who have critiqued and checked other people. We have a process whereby
one person gets something wrong and lies.
Yeah.
Should we take anything from what they say?
If they lie, intentionally lie.
If they even not intentionally, if they
no, there's a difference.
Even if they can't,
there's a difference.
Can't remember.
There's a difference. I'll give you the example of Imam Bukhari. Imam Bukhari is considered to be the most stringent. The most stringent in his criteria. The difference between, anyway, he was the most stringent in his criteria. One day he was taking a narration from a person, or went to somebody to take a narration from them, and he saw that he was pretending to feed his riding beast in order to get him in the stable. He was pretending that he had food in order for the rider beast to come towards him, so that he may put him in the stable and put him away. So Imam Bukhari said, if it's possible that he can deceive his riding beast,
that's not a qualification.
Hear my point.
I understand, but that's
hear my point. If it's possible that he can deceive his riding beast, he may deceive me, or he may deceive not tell the truth with regards to the teaching of the Prophet Muhammad. Now that is hang on. That is overly stringent. That's overly stringent. But what that shows you is that the criteria for accepting from people that were known to be upright and precise, that was definitely within the Islamic tradition, especially with the Amir al-Mu'minin, the leader of Muslims in Hadith, Imam Bukhari.
That raises more questions.
How does
I don't want to focus on someone and their thoughts and their animals. I want to talk about Bukhari.
Bukhari's not taking narration from him, by the way.
I know. I don't want to
because he made trick.
That's more question.
How does that raise more question?
This is how you verify. So you're saying it's not Bukhari saw this man mislead his animals to get them into the stable. So Bukhari couldn't use his testimony.
He walked away from it.
Yes, that raises more questions. Why does that qualify him from? Why does that disqualify him from narrating?
What I said is overly stringent. Meaning that when Bukhari does narrate from him, we know that the level of precision and trustworthiness that the person has is even greater than that. But why does that? Hang on. Why is that? Because it's overly stringent.
That's not a qualification.
Hear my point.
I would like to
hear it. So that shows you whatever Bukhari does narrate has to be from something that is even more precise and more trustworthy than that person. And if that person,
the person has to be
for the most part. This person see that for the most part, everybody. No, when you say fallible, when you say infallible, no, we don't ask for fallible. It's infallibility. We say for the most part that person is upright and trustworthy. For the most part. And even in there, check these other narrations together. This is how we see the he's trustworthy.
You use someone and was catering to his cattle or his animals, and instead because he caters to his animals differently, then he's not trustworthy. How does that make it a qualification?
That shows you that
it doesn't show me anything. Because it's text and animals. It doesn't show me anything.
It shows you. You would have a day of celebration if you had that with the Bible.
Free preservation.
Don't tell me nothing. No.
Free preservation is far better than control. Because at some point, if someone can control your narration, it's a problem in your theology.
No, it's not.
Why did Uthman burn it?
Oh my God!
That's the most controlled part of your preservation.
Do you agree?
Of your theology.
Do you agree?
Your Quran was controlled by Uthman and what you have now. Mine wasn't.
Was Uthman an eyewitness?
Yes, he was. He was an eyewitness.
He was already stronger than what you have then.
But he also said, Muhammad said, Umayyah ibn Ka'b is the best of the reciters. If you want to get a Quran, get it from him. Bukhari had conflict with Umayyah ibn Ka'b. So how can we know that Bukhari was not? Not Bukhari. Uthman had conflict with Umayyah ibn Ka'b. So how can we know Uthman was not conspiring?
What was the conflict?
Because he didn't want to take his Quran.
Huh?
He didn't want to take his Quran.
No, don't lie, don't lie, don't lie, don't lie.
If I'm getting it wrong, then I apologize.
No, that's fine. You're getting it wrong. You're getting it wrong. There was consensus. Hang on. There was consensus of the Sahaba. Consensus of the Sahaba in the time of Uthman that what Uthman did is correct. There was consensus.
I don't care. Appealing to majority does not make your point.
No.
Prove the verification.
That's dead. That's dead. I'm sorry. That's dead. That's dead. That's dead.
Please don't appeal to authority.
All the eyewitnesses in the time of the Prophet.
I don't care about the eyewitnesses.
Brother, you're not letting me speak.
I know, but you're going somewhere else.
No. You're the one that brought up Uthman burning the Quran.
Yes.
And I said we're talking about Bukhari. You're saying about
the 7 hours for death.
Hang on. Now you're jumping because it must be that. It must be that.
That's what I'm talking about.
We're talking about Bukhari leading his, seeing a man lead his horse to the stable. I said from following on from that therefore Bukhari was overly stringent. So therefore whatever Bukhari relates, whatever Bukhari relates, we can be confident in it because he was so strict. Okay? In his Sahih, hear my point, we're still speaking. In Sahih Bukhari, he's very stringent. In other books, for example, Adab al-Mufrad, is not as stringent. Okay, so he has a lesser criteria. But in general, the criteria for hadith is something that is proof checked and demonstratable. We can see the names of these people. We can see what their peers, hear my point, we can see what their peers have said about them. We can see what their contemporaries have said about them, and we can cross-check them like I've demonstrated. Now, when it comes to you in your book, when you say that what we have is weak, hang on, when you're saying what we have is weak, you would do a backflip right now if you had even a weak hadith that we have. So don't come here and tell me that it's weak. You would do a backflip. You would get on your knees and say hallelujah if you had a weak hadith. Your strongest hadith. No. I just want to show you. I mentioned about Bukhari. I want to talk about your gospel now. Gospel of John. That's fine. Because we're talking about criteria. We're talking about criteria and chain of transmission. I'm showing you something.
They couldn't take out their animals. I want to talk about them.
I mentioned the criteria. I'm mentioning the criteria. You don't want to hear it.
Yeah, but you gave me a criteria. And you gave me an example of the criteria.
And precise. What does that show about Bukhari? That he was very precise.
Please answer my question. How do you verify the oral tradition?
I've shown you. I've given you example.
No, you gave me an example.
I've given you example that you weren't happy with.
No.
If you had 9 students,
let's talk about
and one of them 10 said one thing, and 9 said the other. What is it? I've got you or something. You can take the cameras off and carry on, but
you're not letting me speak.
No, bro, you're not letting me speak. You're just telling me you haven't answered.
Your whole position for like very long.
Listen,
you gotta let. It's a back and forth.
No.
It's a conversation.
Right now.
Let me know when.
Yeah, I'll let you know. Don't worry. So right now, you're just saying I haven't answered this. I haven't answered that. Well, you're saying it again, but I've showed you methods that we've used that are demonstratable to this day, where if 9 narrators, we can get it right now. Hear my point. I'll show you. I'll let you speak when I'm finished, and I will let you know when I'm finished. I'll let you speak. Don't worry. So when to this day we have chains of transmission that have different chains, we can cross-reference them and see that these ones, the majority of them, or the strongest ones, they have say one thing, and this other one says something else. Therefore, it's more probable to go with that. That's the majority. That's one thing. Now we can have 9. I'll give you more. We can have 9 people that are weak and 1 person is strong. So it's not about the majority. It comes down to the precision of that person. No. I'll let you know when I'm done. I'll let you know when I'm done. So no. It's not, because you don't understand it. When I said earlier about the 10 people, as I mentioned, on equal footing. When I talked about 9 people and 1 person that is strong, that's not equal footing. 9 liars is not the same as 1 in terms of what we know about them, in terms of the trustworthiness, in terms of their precision. If they're all wow, I'll tell you, I'll let you know when I'm done. Yeah? So that's one way. The second, no. I'll let you know. So that's clear, demonstrable ways. Now, when it comes to applying this criteria from a Christian point of view, you're not concerned about precision. You're not concerned about truthfulness. In fact, you can take from unknown sources. That's what you clearly mentioned. For us, an unknown source is not valid. That's good. The hadith is weak because somebody inside it is mashhul, it's unknown.
We have free preservation.
You don't have no preservation. You don't have no preservation. Demonstrate to me this. I'll end on this. And I haven't let you know when I'm finished. I'll end on this. You believe in the Gospel of John with the highest.
You're jumping into another question.
No. Same criteria.
Please.
Same criteria. I'll let you know when I'm done.
When is it going to finish? Let's talk about what I asked. You know what I'm saying? You're asking something. No. How do you qualify the oral tradition? I've told you. That's not now. You gave me an analogy. Give me. How you now demonstrate to me how you talk about John and John. How Sahih Bukhari would know what the first person said. You gave me an analogy. An analogy is not evidence. It's an analogy. I can probably say, yes, your analogy can stand to logic, but it doesn't prove what was happening. How does Sahih Bukhari know verbatim what the first person said from Muhammad?
Okay, I've explained that, but I'll explain it again.
No, it's an analogy.
I'll explain it again. So, for example, Bukhari takes from his teacher Ahmed, and so on and so forth, back to Malik, back from Nafi, back from Ibn Umar, back from the Messenger of Allah. I'm speaking. Now that is called the golden chain. I'm speaking. That is the golden chain. Now we know, for example, the biography of Bukhari. We know his stringency in taking narrations like I'm speaking, like we've mentioned. Now we know the same. Don't tell me you want an answer.
To you. If you give him a moment to finish, you understand what he's trying to say. I understand.
He's spoken a lot.
You're cutting every time I say something. You're cutting.
I understand what he's saying. I may not agree with it, but I understand what he's saying. I understand the point.
Okay. So Bukhari, for example, Malik, the Imam of Medina, the author of the book Muwatta, that is spread from the east and the west, specifically in the west of the Muslim land, with so many chains of transmission going back to him. He himself was a student of Nafi. Nafi was the freed slave of Ibn Umar. Ibn Umar was the Sahabi of and companion of the Prophet Muhammad. We have the biography of Imam Malik. We know his stringency in narrating hadith and how precise he was. We can cross-reference that against his peers and against others. We do the same with Nafi, we do the same with Ibn Umar, and therefore that is an unbroken chain with, according to their peers and their contemporaries, trustworthy and precise people that narrated and understood the gravity of what they say. Now, that is one example. If we were to now look at the Christian idea of John, for example, all the I am statements, before Abraham was I am, that's in John. John, the end of it says, this is the statement of the disciple. Huh? Pardon?
John is an eyewitness where the transmission.
John is an eyewitness of Jesus, and John gave it to who? John gave it to who?
Before the text was written. We're talking about. We're not talking about the suggestion after. We're talking about the suggestion to the one to come. John is a direct eyewitness of Jesus, and that's where the chain of narration goes.
Okay. And the Gospel of John was written by John.
Yes.
Okay. In the end of the Gospel of John, John 21, it says, "This is the disciple. This is the disciple who testifies of these things, and we trust that his testimony is true." Who's the we?
I don't know. I would like to look.
Hang on.
Chain of narration.
Sorry. I'm cutting you. You ain't answered. I'm doing you now. You ain't answered.
I appreciate it.
Say that again.
The chain of
Who's the we?
The chain of transmission. Now you're asking a different question. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the chain of transmission.
There you go.
You're looking for
that's the problem.
We're looking for a Bible error. We're talking about the chain of transmission. We're looking for a Bible error. That's a totally different argument.
Completely wrong.
That is a totally different
wrong.
So let's talk about the chain of narration.
I'm doing you now.
The chain of narration between John and Jesus Christ.
You're wrong.
It's John, Jesus Christ. That's it.
Okay.
John won't say that.
Okay, I'll tell you why you're wrong.
That is it.
I'm not just going to say, unlike you, I'm not going to just say you're wrong. I'm going to show you why you're wrong. I'm going to show you why you're wrong. I'm going to show you why you're wrong. You don't answer my questions. You just said, no, you haven't done it.
Creates more questions.
No.
You just leave it on the trust me roll.
You can say, no, there's no trust me roll.
How can I know Sahih Bukhari and his teachers before him didn't conspire to
I've just demonstrated. I've given you the demonstrable way. I've given you demonstrable way.
By giving me name is not
now with your thing now. When it comes to John 21, now this is the disciple. Let the scripture speak. Let the scripture speak, my friend. Let the scripture don't run. No, because it's the same transmission. This is all transmission. So who is the we? There you go. I'll give you my conclusion. I've demonstrated with practical examples that can still be read and demonstrated to this day. Unlike your belief about let me land. that can still be demonstrated to this day. That's why there are still scholars of hadith like Nasruddin al-Albani who still cross-reference and check hadith today, and many ulama like them, Sheikh Rabi, many other scholars of hadith. This is a living tradition that is ongoing today with the demonstration and verification of the previous people. Unlike you, which is the real, trust me bro, you don't have the real, trust me bro. Now to give the example, when you have the Gospel of John, which has the highest Christology, the highest conclusion, the highest Christology, with the highest I am statements. Before Abraham was I am the way, the truth and the life. Yeah, all of these statements, it comes through somebody who's writing in the first person. This person who is writing in the first person, we testify, talking about, let's say it's John, let's say John, that we're talking about John the disciple, that this person who's writing says, we testify that his testimony, let's assume it's John, we testify that John's testimony is true. So who is the we that is giving you the actual text? Who is the we?
I appreciate it. I'll look at it. Very nice conversation, man.
That's it.
I know we go back.
No, it's fine, it's fine. May God have us truth wherever we
Well, round up.
This is this one.
Well, this is it, guys. Nice conversation with the brother. Oh, sorry, remind me your name.
Anwar.
Yab.
I prefer Yab to what you said earlier.
I like trolling sometimes. Allow me. God bless you. So, again, I just want to demonstrate the difference between controlled preservation and free preservation. We spoke about preservation today. We spoke about certain scribal error. I'm going to put it into one big conclusion. There is a difference between scribal error. There is a difference between controlled preservation and free preservation. In free preservation, the text of God is not controlled. There is not one person we can point directly to and say, yes, this is where the change happened. Like Uthman burning the Quran, the change happened there. The Arabs died, the Quran died in Uthman's time. When it comes to free preservation, God's writing is perfect. When it comes to the Bible, God's writing is perfectly preserved in accordance to human nature. Yes, humans are going to have scribes. Yes, human scribes are going to make errors. Yes, there are going to be certain things that are going to be lost throughout time. It's human nature, because human beings and anything in this world is not perfect. But free preservation allows everyone that don't have any communication between each other for them to write any part of the text that they want to, and we can analyze it together to say, okay, these people that don't know this person, they wrote the same thing, it is more preserved. But if everyone that knows this person say, okay, what he said is verifiable, my question was to him, I should have asked the question like, who was the original lie, and how did Bukhari get the lie after? Because if the first person lied, how does Bukhari know the first person didn't lie? Because there are certain parts in the Quran where it says Muhammad used to wipe semen, or he used to wear Aisha's clothing. How can we verify if Bukhari wasn't lying and if the first person wasn't lying? But with free preservation, if anyone's allowed to lie and write everything they want, they are allowed to, we will get different texts if it wasn't preserved by God. But yet we have all the same Bible, different places, and we thank the one true God, because we do not have control preservation. We do not have one point where we say, oh yeah, this is where the Bible changed. And we thank Jesus Christ because he still preserves his word till this day. Thank you, bro.